The political development of Zambia. I'm going to kickstart this lesson by talking about an introduction to civic education. Civic education is the study of political, social, cultural, and economic issues. It is also known as citizen education or democracy education. The aim of civic education is to provide information and learning experiences to equip and empower citizens to participate in democratic processes. Well, civic education is very important, and below are some of the reasons as to why civic education is significant. Number one, it promotes the involvement of citizens in civic duties and supports democratic and participatory governance. Number two, it promotes the demand for good governance. Number three, it is used to address a wide variety of political and governance issues like corruption, civic apathy, or post-conflict reconciliation. And number four, it is used as a tool to address important emerging issues like domestic violence, drug abuse, and HIV and AIDS. Secondly, I'm going to be talking about Zambia's path to independence. Before independence, Zambia was called Northern Rhodesia. It was a British protectorate in South Central Africa, formed in 1911 by amalgamating the two earlier protectorates of Northwestern Rhodesia and Northeastern Rhodesia. The British South African Company was ruling over Northern Rhodesia on behalf of the British government. From 1924, the administration of Northern Rhodesia was transferred to the British Colonial Office as a protectorate. The name Rhodesia was derived from Cecil John Rhodes, the British capitalist and owner of the BSA Company, who expanded the British influence north of the Limpopo River into South Central Africa. Rhodes did this by obtaining mining rights from local chiefs using treaties. After making a vast fortune in mining in South Africa, his ambition was to extend the British Empire to the north all the way to Cairo. In 1953, three countries, Northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, Southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and Nyasaland, now Malawi, were brought together under one administration. This was called the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. The federation became so unpopular among the Africans who were in the majority, and that they started fighting for independence. At first, independent African churches spearheaded the rejection of majority rule. They were later joined by Africans who had been educated by missionaries. They started the fight for social, economic, and political advancement through voluntary associations called welfare societies or associations. A number of these welfare associations on the Copper Belt were involved in the year 1935 disturbances. Most of the protests that took place were due to the following: over discriminatory laws such as heart tax, which was gradually introduced in different areas of Northern Rhodesia between 1901 and 1913. Laws which required Africans to have permits to live and work on the Copper Belt. And lastly, the color bar. In 1946, the Federation of African Welfare Societies was formed. It united the welfare societies which had been set up by educated Africans in towns in the 1930s to discuss local affairs in English. In 1948, the Federation changed its name to Northern Rhodesia Congress, and Godwin Mbekusitta Lewanika became its first president. In the late 1940s, several local trade unions representing African miners merged to form the Northern Rhodesian African Mine Workers Union. Under Mbekusitta Lewanika, Northern Rhodesia Congress gradually developed as a political force. In 1951, Mbekusitta Lewanika was voted out of office and replaced by Harry Mwangankumbula, who was a school teacher from Kitwe. In 1951, Kenneth Kaunda, a former teacher, became the organizing secretary for Northern Rhodesia Congress in the Northern Province. In 1953, he moved to Lusaka as a Secretary General of the Congress under Nkumbula's presidency. Both Kaunda and Nkumbula began to advocate self-governance under African majority rule. Kaunda was prominent in organizing boycotts and sightings, but in the year 1955, both he and Nkumbula were imprisoned for 2 months. After the imprisonment, Kaunda intensified the campaign for economic boycotts and disobedience. In October 1958, Kaunda and most of the young and radical members left the Congress to form the Zambia African National Congress, with Kaunda as the president. On 12 March 1959, Kaunda was arrested again, together with 45 other members of the Zambia African National Congress, and the party was banned. In October 1959, former Zambia African National Congress members formed the United National Independence Party, UNIP. When Kaunda was released from prison in January 1960, he became its leader. The Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland was formally dissolved on 31st December 1963. In the 1964 elections, the United National Independent Party, UNIP, gained 55 out of 75 parliamentary seats. The country became the Independent Republic of Zambia on 24th October 1964, with Kenneth Kaunda as its president. And since then, Zambia has been a sovereign state, self-governed, with people, citizens, being able to vote and choose their president. Yeah.